Well, it's time to look at my 23andMe results. So I have got it loaded on some screenshots and the actual site. So this is part of my DNA Journey series, where I do look at how we do DNA testing for genealogy and the different results that I'm going to get, because I've done this one and another test. So let's go ahead and get started. Brought to you by Curious Moranland, where science literacy will make America great. So let's look at the site really quickly, and I'm going to go back and forth. When you first hit home, it gives you a rundown down here where it tells you your percentage. You can see where it says I'm 53.4% West African, but when you look at my detailed results, it says a different percentage. Maternal and paternal and Neanderthal, I'm going to go over those, and I'm going to spend more time talking about this. So let's go ahead and look at my maternal haplotype. What exactly is a haplotype? Or haplogroup is what I should have said. Haplotype is part of that series. So because I have an X and a Y chromosome, I can actually trace lineage from both my mom and my dad. So what we do is we look at all of the different little subtle differences in DNA. We call them SNPs. Now, I did a video on terminology that's before this on the playlist here, so you can check that out. But I can trace what my dad's chromosome and my mitochondrial DNA from my mom, which is not the DNA in the nucleus. So what does my mom's mitochondrial DNA show? She's been listed as haplogroup L, and that originated about 78,000 years ago on the African continent, and it can be traced back specifically for me 27 years. So my mom's mitochondrial DNA can be traced to Western Central Africa. That's what this is showing. And so you can see we're part of the L group. You can see the diaspora out of the African continent. We'll see more of that as if we talk about different haplogroups. Remember, there's no such thing as race. Race is a cultural concept. There's only one skin, melanin, and we're all shades of the same protein. And so as we go through here, you can see that the L group is part of an ethnic group on the African continent called the Bantu expansion. That's pretty interesting. So that is my maternal haplogroup. My paternal, well, that's not as many years back, but that's the R group, and that is traced to Europe. So on my dad's chromosome, he is part of the haplogroup R, and this is actually subcategory. And as you saw in the PowerPoint, it's 22,000 years, and so the Y variant, that Y chromosome, is a way of tracing your ancestral lineage. All right, so that's the paternal groups. Neanderthal. Okay, Neanderthal. There are about 2,872 variants. I mean, these are genetic markers that are Neanderthal related. Of the 23andMe database, only the highest number is 397. Right, so that would be someone that have a lot more European genes than I do. I have only 109. This is less than 98% of my genetic makeup. So that's the Neanderthal. So now let's go ahead and talk about composition. So when you click the Ancestry here reports, and click all reports, that's just a summary. So let's let that load for a second. I have it preloaded over here, and you see it tells you your ancestry, maternal group, Neanderthal, and so I'm going to go ahead and click the composition. When I click composition, this is what it gives me. Now you notice on this page it says I'm 53.4% West African. And you come over here and it says I'm 59% Sub-Saharan Africa. But now watch this. Within that 59%, so my dominant trait, not my dominant, my most numerous, is 53.4% West African, with some Central Africa, very little East Africa, and broad Sub-Saharan. Okay, let's look at the European breakdown. 39.6 and 32.3% is Northwestern Europe, which includes British and Irish, 13%, French and German, very little Scandinavian, and then this broad category. That's probably some other parts of not Scandinavia, but some other parts of Northwestern Europe. Okay. Now, of my Native American heritage, it shows a very small percentage, but it shows 0.9. Now, one of the things about this, and they have this little disclaimer, in a lot of the genealogy tests, there's a dearth of information for both Native American and African American. So they're trying to get more people to add to the pool. And when we have more of that, these will be kind of little red flags that will show, hey, there's another marker, and so there's some that say this percentage could change when we have more in the data pool. But they can't discriminate between Southeast Asia and North American, because a lot of these you associate with the land bridge. So the Southeast Asians that went across, Southeastern Asia that went across to the New World, so to speak, and they are directly connected with the Native Americans. So overall it's 0.9%, and this is their breakdown. Now let's look even deeper. So if I go back here, so this is your generic breakdown. Ancestral timeline. I thought this was pretty cool when I saw this. So if you scroll down, it gives you, so if you look at they kind of color code it, and of course there's your map, and they color code it. So this, and when you open this, it says most likely had a great, third, that was 100% West African, born between 1820 and 1880. Interesting. Now, was that someone who was born there, or someone born in the United States that was a slave that had those genes? In my family lineage, I have to accept that it either was from Africa or Africans that were brought to the New World. Okay, for British, now one of the things we do know that there was, on my mom's side, a person was born in 1821 that was from England, and we do have, it matches this between those two dates. So this is kind of genetic verification of family stories that were told throughout my family history. All right, East Africa, very little. For Native American, this is if there was any of the genes, most likely between 1700 and 1790, that person. Now, that means that person's children's, that their genes would have gotten to me. So that's a pretty cool thing, the ancestral timeline. This is something unique that 23andMe does. They do the haplogroups, so that's long-term genealogical studies, but then they also give you ancestral that goes back a couple hundred years. Okay, here's one that I thought was quite interesting, my chromosomal makeup. So let me just show you, I have a screenshot of this. All right, so this is a screenshot, so it's not going to be active, but if you look here, when I go back to the interactive part, you'll see it's got my different breakdowns. So this is my whole shebang. This is the African part and the subdivisions within Africa, the European part, and it got cut off. It doesn't, when I screenshot, it didn't show the Native American. But let's go back to there. So what I like is I can actually, if I highlight sub-Saharan Africa, it shows me all the chromosomes that have linked to markers to people who currently live there today, where their genes came from. So we're all African, and I have a lot of African. Okay, West Africa, you notice as you go down in percentage, there should be less of these little spots here. All right, so we go to Northwestern Europe, British, French, and actually, interestingly enough, French and German on my X chromosome. I got that from my mom. So that's interesting. So, and my family's originally from Louisiana, which was a French territory before Napoleon sold it to Jefferson. All right, so this is a pretty comprehensive look at your genetics. So the last thing is owning your own data. I got a file that I downloaded, and when I downloaded that file, I'm not going to download it again, sorry. You'll get this, so there's mine, and take a look. What is it? It's a notepad file that shows all of my DNA. Now, I was scrolling around before starting this. So chromosome 1, chromosome 3, at this location I have a CC. At this location I have a C and a G. The amazing thing about this is, like I said, the trend in the future is going to be personalized medicine. Your DNA is your DNA. No one controls that other than your parents who gave it to you. And now it's yours. And by doing genealogy testing, you can do one thing, but looking at for certain markers, they might help you to determine there's a certain disorder, you're in that probability range, and once you know that, you can take steps to help treat that. So, all right, brought to you by Curious Randland. So thanks for watching. This video is part of my series called The DNA Journey, and this is my 23andMe results. So I've done Ancestry as well, and I'll do a comparison video for those. So thanks for watching. I'm going to finish with what I've said at the ending of all my videos and what I say to my students. What you are is determined at birth. What you become takes a lifetime.